The magic number of the day comes down to number 2. Welcome into PHLY Phillies podcast. The number is 2. I'm trying to avoid the glare because it's been 2 days that Jamie Lynch has gone back and bought Starbucks and 0 days since he made his own. Welcome in. We've got Tyler Zulli, Renee Washington here, and Jamie Lynch, a.k.a. Mr. Go Against Your Word, and decided to buy Starbucks again. Don't think I didn't notice. It's hiding back here, guys, but I can see it. Jamie broke in for the second day of 2024.
No, but it was never a resolution. And when guys are working in my kitchen in the morning, I don't feel comfortable being in their way. So I've just chalked up these 3 days. You can put one up for tomorrow, too, because they're going to be back. So for 3 days, I'm buying coffee again. And then I'll be back. All
right. Well, as we know, the most important number
and
besides
yes, Dave P,
you.
I do like Tenacious D.
Oh.
Who doesn't?
Besides you and your struggles is 32 days until pitchers and catchers report and 78 days. There you go.
Those
So many bright lights in here. 78 days until opening day. We're getting closer. Woo! It's exciting
32
time.
days is very manageable.
That's extremely manageable.
And then
so
we'll at least
I love
get to
it.
see guys throwing warm-up sessions.
It's getting... We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Dave, welcome in, and congrats on being first. Chris, Spiral Out. Mickey, happy Wednesday. Nice to have you all here. Smash that thumbs up button while you're here. Join the chat. Let's talk. So lots to talk about that happened since we saw you guys last, aside from the weather itself.
That was
I feel like
storm.
yesterday's storm, we have to talk about it because it kind of felt like a horror movie.
Really?
And I don't know. Did you have anything eventful that happened? I know I did, but maybe I'm not the only one that had an eventful.
No, I didn't even lose power. We got pretty lucky. My backyard's a lake. We have like a drainage issue there. But it's far away enough away from the house that I don't really care.
Yeah,
it's wet grass, whatever.
Yeah, I saw the.
So no, we were pretty lucky, pretty
today.
fortunate. Got to catch up on some TV last night, and no problems. How was the city? How was
you asked that question knowing very well my night was eventful. It wasn't until it was. So super quick story for you guys because we're gonna go off the rails really fast here because I'm still recovering. I was getting ready to go to bed. That's what made it worse. I was actually getting ready to go to bed. I not feeling the greatest, so I had taken some medicine. I was doing like my pre-bed routine, winding down for the night. And all of a sudden, I hear a thud. And so I'm like, oh, a thud is... any thud, I'm looking to see what's going on because I'm that nosy neighbor that's always peeking out the window. So I'm like, what's happening outside? I look outside and I see something hit off my car, of all cars, and it's my patio furniture. My patio cushions, thankfully not the actual chairs, blew because of the wind to the front of the house and were rolling down the street. So then in that moment, I was like, do I go get them or do I just let them rock and take the L? And the competitor in me was like, I'm going to go get them. So I had to put on my gear, ran outside in my Uggs and hoodie and jacket and was chasing cushions. And they were all over, of course. It wasn't just out in plain sight. They were under cars. They were across the street. One was rolling down the street. It was fun. Everything was fine.
But you got everything.
I got everything. I secured everything, guys. Don't worry if you're wondering. I won, but for the people that were driving by me, I was in a bonnet and my pajamas. I looked ridiculous.
A ring cam that we can obtain footage of? Because I think that would be a good video to put out there in the world. Help promote the channel.
Well, what made it worse was I saw one cushion first, and I was like, that cushion looks familiar. I'm like, that's my cushion. So I grabbed the cushion. I come back in the house, and I realized more cushions were gone. I was like, crap. So I had to go back out. So yeah, there's a lot of great footage. Was this at the height
of the rain?
It was. It was very windy. Almost blew over for sure.
Well, I was inconvenienced in that the rain was so loud we couldn't listen to our TV show for like 15 minutes. So like that was a minor inconvenience. So I sympathize, Renee.
Oh, yeah. We both had
we
some
really went through it
inconvenience.
last night. I was trying to catch up on Fargo. And
We both had some major inconveniences
for like
last
10
night.
whole minutes.
Well, TV can't hear. What? Like, what?
Yeah, like, oh, no, I can't hear my TV.
She was looking at me like, I can't even hear it. And I was like, I know. This is horrible.
Wow, this is so horrible. I feel so bad for you. What a rough Tuesday you had.
Thank you. Thank you for the sympathy.
As my stuff was rolling down the street, and I'm like, is this how I'm starting 2024? I didn't have this on my bingo card
it was
for
the
kicking off the year.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, well, that's how my second Tuesday night went. That I was in my jammies, and then of course, what makes it better is you're drenched.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like I took a shower.
I'm
because my
really
clothes
curious
were
what the
drenched.
third Tuesday of 2024
I'm nervous. If it's anything like the second Tuesday, I'm in trouble. I'm going to go out there with a boat next time. So yeah, I'm here. I'm here, guys. I made it. Don't worry. Cushions are secured. For everybody that drove by me while I was running down the street like a crazy lady with patio cushions under my arm. I got some sprints in. I got some bear crawls in. You know, I was just out there.
Nice.
Just
little
neighborhood nay.
Little workout.
All right. Well, there have been some other things that have been happening outside of just the craziness of the storm around our prospects. It's been fun. I know we've been doing a deep dive of the prospects on the show each and every day. We'll, of course, get to that as well. But we have been seeing some different reports coming out. Different outlets around MLB have been ranking prospects. MLB Pipeline, starting with them, they ranked the most underrated prospects as of now. I love the fact that we have Phillies guys representing and that are on this list. So baseball executives voted on the most underrated prospects and much more. And taking a look at this list, some familiar names, especially Justin Crawford sitting on this list. Tyler, if you can flash that up when you get a chance of, all the names here. We've got Colt Emerson and Xavier Isaac.
That sounds
Samuel
like the most baseball name ever.
Colt
Emerson.
Carson Weisenhunt, Jacob Melton, our very own Justin Crawford, Robbie Snelling, Thomas Sagis, and Zach DeZenzo. And I may have not correctly said all those names, but
probably very slim chance.
Yeah.
And welcome to the club of mispronouncing.
Well, I like
names.
the fact that we get to see other people's prospects' names as well. That's always, it's good to start to see who else is out there in that next generation. But Justin Crawford got 4% of the votes.
Yeah, Justin Crawford's going to be a guy we follow, I think, fairly closely this year. He's a really exciting prospect. In our Down on the Farm report, we'll get to him in our top 5.
For sure.
Because depending on who's ranking him so far, and some haven't come out yet, but this MLB Pipeline thing, plus some other stuff that's coming out, it's like prospect season. The hot stove is starting to cool down a little bit. We'll get into Imanaga in a little bit, but it's starting to ramp up the prospect talk, and that's kind of why we started Down on the Farm. And it's good to see Justin Crawford on a list like this of most underrated because the bloodlines are there, the speed, the athleticism, the excitement is there with this kid, and if he puts it together this year and has another consistent year, you could be looking at 2025 possibly him competing for a job in this outfield.
Yeah.
Especially because Castellanos will be winding down and there's going to be job openings, and we'll see how Brandon Marsh does, and Pache and Rojas, and Crawford is a very exciting piece of this farm system.
Another exciting piece, Aiden Miller. So Aiden Miller, who born in 2004, he's coming up on he's about to turn 20 this June. He was picked
20 years old.
I know.
That'd be cool.
Insane. Actually, again, don't miss 20 either, but he was picked 27th overall in the 2023 draft. He's been listed as one of the biggest steals of the draft. Another name, Aiden Miller, that we've seen as a third baseman, has a lot of promise and someone that we've been keeping an eye on that we will talk about as we continue to go down on the farm. But again, nice to see the fact that we're getting some prospects, Aiden Miller, getting some accolades. I like it.
Yeah,
why not?
This was another MLB Pipeline story. And, obviously I'm going to click on it when I see the headline. The Phillies may have pulled off the biggest first-round steal of the 23 draft. Aiden Miller out of University of Arkansas. I believe his brother's with another club, so, baseball family. And this kid is soaring up the prospect list. Again, depending on which outlet you read, he's ranked anywhere from 2nd to 4th or 5th. That area is kind of interchangeable for the Phillies prospects, depending on who you listen to. But Aiden Miller, again, another him and Justin Crawford from the non-pitching prospects are the two most exciting pieces the Phillies have.
Yeah, I know. Mickey's saying he will be legit, but where do we put him?
We'll have to do a road trip this year to go watch him.
We will. We're
think that's in order.
definitely have to go check them out. Hey, these are good problems to have when you have, the prospects that are coming in that are able to make some noise and compete for some major spots on the team. And then the other one that we saw, just to run through some of the MLB pipeline rankings and lists that they came out. They also came out with best hitting prospect. Nobody from the Phillies was on that list. Wah. But best pitching prospect, we did see our very own Andrew Painter on that list. So Andrew Painter was the second best pitching prospect according to MLB Pipeline's poll, sitting at number 1. I always forget how to say his last name. Paul Skeens, I think it is.
Skeens?
I
Tyler,
think it's
you got
how
any
you say his last
there
name.
on pronunciation?
It's Skeens, yeah.
Woo!
Skeens.
1 win for me. Well, that's 2 wins because I also got my cushions yesterday.
He ran
Paul
away with
Skeens definitely took the voting at 59%.
And this was a poll from front office executives
exactly.
around baseball.
Yeah, but it's good. Andrew Painter's number 2, but then there's a lot of others question mark at number 3 with 9%, Cade Horton at 7%, then Jackson Jobe, Kyle Harrison, and Ricky Tiedemann taking the 5% spot in the bottom of that list. So we're seeing Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller getting some love on MLB Pipeline's voting list to start off.
It sucks, Andrew
2024.
Painter. You don't get to see him really pitch this year. It's kind of a bummer. But it's still nice to see that he's regarded that highly by front office execs around the game. It's rare the Phillies have this. Even their top prospects usually aren't like top 15 guys around baseball. And I think it was Keith Law I think his top 100 list is coming out very soon because I think Starlin Cava and Eduardo Tejit both have a shot at cracking the top 100 from a tease I saw yesterday. But Andrew Painter is like, he's the Cadillac of Phillies pitching prospects since probably I guess Cole Hamels. I mean, some of these other guys just haven't really panned out. Who was Spencer Howard? Was untouchable. He flamed out, and he was our number 1 prospect for a while. Painter's on a different level than a lot of what we've had over the last decade. So really exciting. Just sucks we don't get to see him this year.
Yeah, and I know in the chat you guys are talking about Paul. I actually don't know how to say his last name. I do know him as Mr. Livy Dunn because...
is that who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the LSU pitcher.
He's the LSU pitcher.
Mr. Livy Dunn. This guy's winning at life.
An athletic... Yeah, they're becoming quite the athletic couple
Make
there.
some athletic babies.
Future power couple. But I don't know, though, because she's a good gymnast, but it's her NIL deals and commercials that make her a big name. She's not the best even at LSU.
Well, she's still pretty freaking athletic.
Very much so. I mean, I can't do half the things she can do. I can barely do a cartwheel.
Yeah,
but
I didn't realize he was that
a power couple for
that
sure.
Highly regarded around baseball.
I didn't either, actually.
And he's
but
tall,
I knew,
if I believe, 6'4", 6'5".
I mean, he was probably
dominated for LSU.
The highest rated pitching prospect to come out of the draft since probably Steven Strasburg. Yeah, I mean, this guy was filthy. I mean, touches 100, routinely sits at 97, 98, gets up to 101, 102, good breaking stuff, good command. I mean, he's just – and the thing is, too, if you watch him pitch, he's so downhill.
Yeah,
and I
caught a couple of those LSU games during their run.
I hate to say that a pitcher's downhill because mounds are elevated and every pitcher's downhill. But
I know what you mean.
What I mean is he's so long and his release point is so late, and that's a good thing. Is that he is so he's on top of you. It's like if you watch Zach Wheeler's release point, he's on top of you when he lets the ball go. It's the same thing for Skeens. This kid is going to be something special.
He is 6'6". Of course, he was picked number 1 overall. A ton of accolades he got in LSU, All-American, Pitcher of the Year, variety of different things. But yeah, the numbers that he posted at LSU, very impressive when you look at the fact that I'm trying to find his best, but Kyle
Drabeck, I see in the chat.
He's got a lot.
And it shows you how good that team was, by the way, because they go 1-2 in the draft because Dylan Cruz went right after him. And I mean, that LSU team was legit.
Yeah. 2.18 ERA in college, in 119 games played. And his splits and stuff are very good. Very impressive, and someone that I'm looking forward to seeing. and seeing how he pans out.
Yeah, I've seen Livy. This is all ties together now because I've seen Livy Dunn rocking the Pirates hat and stuff on her Instagram. So yeah, okay. I see you, Paul Skeens. We'll be paying attention to you. But it's nice to see Andrew Painter. A good
right
little
there.
gap in between second and third. It's
Definitely
pretty substantial, the gap between him and Painter. But
but he's there.
We'll take our wins where we can get them with Phillies pitching prospects.
Yeah, small victories. Give ourselves a little pat on the back.
And hopefully Painter comes back stronger than ever in that arm.
Yes. Well, some other things that have been coming out as well, because right now as we kick off 2024, we love putting together rankings and odds and all of our predictions for the year. And one of the things that have come out as well are who's going to be winning the MVP for the NL. So 2024 NL MVP favorites have come out by DraftKings. Now, what I think is most interesting about this is I was reading an article a couple days ago as MLB was talking about who they're predicting to be the best players in 2024 this year. And they're predicting it's going to be between Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Ronald Acuna Jr. And they say,
cool, all NL players.
Right,
great.
all NL players,
great.
Which is, we love. Great. Sarcasm there, guys. Shohei Ohtani, they were saying, most likely won't be the best simply because he cannot pitch this year. So then you see this list come out, and not only is it the reminder that MLB is predicting that the best players in the league are going to come from not only the National League, but 2 of 3 of them coming from the Dodgers, then you get the MVP favorites. But again, we've got some representation there. We see Bryce Harper sitting at number 5 and Trey Turner at number 10. But of course, the top 3 for the 2024 NL MVP favorites, according to DraftKings, as of today, Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani taking that 1, 2, 3 spot. But Bryce again sitting at 5 and Trey at 10. At least we've got 2 in the top 10.
Yeah, from a
small victories, I guess.
From a completely degenerate mindset and not like a homerism aspect. I think there's value in 2 guys that jump out at me right in the middle of that. And Matt Olson's not bad at plus 1,400 either. I think Bryce Harper and Freddie Freeman are worth some money. This is where I wish I knew what the Dodgers lineup was going to be in concrete because – is Freeman batting second or third in that order? If he's batting second, I mean, he might not get better protection in the world than Shohei Ohtani batting behind you. If he's batting third, he's still going to have something. It's not like it's going to be horrible, but I wonder how much Freeman will benefit from this new lineup. Kind of maybe being the best hitter of the 3 of them. So I think he's really good value at plus 1,200. I think a full season of Bryce Harper, a guy that's won the award twice, that kind of seems to step up, in pressure. And I think the Phillies are in a little bit of a pressure cooker here now with the expectation levels set higher than they've ever been in a long time. I think those 2 are really good values. And then Matt Olson at I never like betting the favorites because even Acuna plus 550 is great, but I don't know. I like to go for a little bit of a bigger hit on these season-long bets. Matt Olson at plus 1,400 is also pretty damn good. So those are the 3 I would probably sprinkle a little bit of money on, even though Ohtani, Betts, and Acuna are going to be tough to kind of dethrone there as the MVPs.
Well, the hard thing is I feel like when you have at the top of your lineup, Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, in whatever order they're going to be in, as you mentioned, they're just going to raise it. They should, if it pans out, raise the level for each other, that their numbers are even better, which makes them as a favorite sitting pretty nicely. But what I also took from this list is it did remind me of just the amount of talent across the NL, and even that kind of had me like, God, that's right. Okay. As much as we talked about, as much as we talk about the Dodgers, and obviously we've all been actively trying to process what the Dodgers lineup's going to look like, what their pitchers are going to look like, and their starting pitcher order, how all this is going to play out. But it doesn't take away from the fact that aside from the Phillies and the Dodgers, we still have other teams. You still have the Braves, you still have the Diamondbacks, you still have plenty of teams that, have a lot of talent on their roster. So even as I was looking at this top 10, I was like, crap.
Yeah,
okay.
Trey Turner plus 2,200. I mean, if you think he stabilizes the final 2 months of the season into a full year, it's not bad value either for a guy that's finished, top 3 or 4 a couple times. So
that's a good point.
It's not bad. And, maybe if you hit one of these season-long bets, you're going to say to yourself, wow, I got all this money. I just hit plus 2,200 on Trey Turner to win MVP odds. Maybe that'll bring you into the housing market. I don't know. Just speculating here. If you were going to dip those toes into the housing market, I would recommend using Mortgage CS. They are awesome guys. Alec and Ben run the company. These two are workaholics. They literally encourage you to text them at any time of the day. Even if you just want to complain about Philly sports, maybe Monday night during the game, you just want to shoot Ben a text and say, man, Eagles suck. Well, you can do it. 267-391-7425. That's his cell phone number. And literally, text him now and say, hey, I'm thinking about a mortgage in about a year and a half from now. What can I do to improve my chances of getting a better mortgage rate? He'll give you the straight on dropping mortgage rates, rising mortgage rates. When's the right time to get in? When's the best time? He's going to help you get ready for this. Mortgage CS stands for Mortgage Concierge Service. They're a white glove service. They give you 24/7 access to them. They are an independent mortgage broker right here in Philadelphia, and they have full control of the lenders they work with. They want to help educate you and empower you in this process. You know, it's the biggest thing you'll ever sign in your life, these mortgages, most likely. But they want to help you obtain ultra competitive rates out there, and they provide exceptional customer service. So seriously, reach out to them anytime. Even if you're not in the market right now, let these guys guide you through the process when it is time to do it. They have tons of easy-to-use tools to make sure the mortgage process is more approachable for you. When you think of the word mortgage, think of Mortgage CS. Think of Alec and Ben. Ben's telephone number is right there on the screen. That's his personal cell. Text him right now, 267-391-7425, even if it's just a question about the mortgage process. Email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com. You can call, text Ben any time of the day, just even to talk sports, or check him out at mortgagecs.com/PHLY. The advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
All right. Well, also, as we're gearing up for the new year, new season, it's time to get some new merch. And the best spot to do that is over at FOCO. And FOCO is the place that is the leading manufacturer for sports and entertainment merchandise. They provide you with seasonal options. They provide you with all types of things, from slippers to overalls, hoodies, t-shirts, to hats, sunglasses, literally getting you covered head to toe in the best merchandise. They've got bobbleheads, toys, collectibles, whatever it is you're looking to purchase, FOCO is the place to buy it, and you can check them out at FOCO. They just were celebrating a great deal of 50% off for National Bobblehead Day this past weekend. They've always got something great for you. So over at FOCO, you can use code PHLY10 to be able to get 10% off of your purchase. And as someone that has unfortunately spent a lot of money and fortunately spent a lot of money at FOCO, I can tell you that 10% will go a long way. PHLY10 gives you 10% off of windbreakers, jackets, hoodies, whatever you're looking to buy. You can check it out at FOCO. All right. Well, as we get ready to bring on our guests beforehand, we've got to go quickly down on the farm to talk Phillies prospects. Today is day 3, right? What's today, Wednesday? Yes. Today is day 3 of our, I just like the scoreboard. If you haven't
apparently
noticed.
You're just going to use it for anything that has anything to do with a number at all, ever.
The glare is just killing me here, but you guys get the point. Day number 3, we're talking about When-Way Pond.
A countdown.
Whenever we talk numbers, we're using the scoreboard, guys. We're making the most of that Amazon purchase. So we're talking about When-Way Pond today as our prospect that we're going down on the farm to discuss.
All right, first things first, the baseball name. Let's go around the room. Does it pass? Because for me, When-Way Pond sounds like a baseball name. Like this guy passes the name test with flying colors.
Yeah. Also, I don't really. He's a Taiwanese pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, his name is
it sounds like a baseball
Taiwanese.
player.
It's giving what it's supposed to.
Yeah, Tyler,
sure.
Does baseball name, does this pass the smell test for you? Just a baseball name.
Sure.
Does he sound like a baseball player?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like
some guys just don't sound like baseball players.
This portion of your down on the farm thing, their nominal inclination to be a baseball player, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything for you.
You don't judge your prospects based on their baseball names.
You could be.
What are you talking about?
Your name could be anything.
I'm kidding.
All right. Wenwei is a 20-year-old pitcher. He's got some great flame-throwing stuff. He has represented Taiwan at the U19 and U23 levels. And scouts have been watching him for years because of the numbers that he has. So at now 21 years old, since he did have a birthday, he's had in his 33 appearances, 63.1 innings pitched, 4-1 and 3.96 ERA with 88 strikeouts, 60 base runners, a 1.07 whip. And something that has been talked about a lot is the ability for him to mix it up. He's got a fastball. He's got a splitter. His slider. He throws strikes 67% of the time. And I know some reports are saying he occasionally can mix in a slower curve and a changeup. He's got a wide repertoire, and his fastball is averaged around 96 miles per hour. He's flirted with triple digits, as they said, in the Florida State League. He is missing some components, but he also has the ability to get a lot of strikeouts with his low 80 slider and then his 84 to 85 mile per hour splitter, which gets a lot of ground ball contact. So Pan has a lot of options that he can throw your way.
Did that just come to you now?
It did.
Did you work on that?
I don't ever come up with these things in advance. Okay. I'm not going to lie.
So last January, he was part of their international signing period. The big acquisition at the time was Starlin Caba, who you'll hear about in the top 10 prospect list because he's skyrocketing up the list. Pan was the other one that they signed last January. At the start of the period, he signed for $3 million, as you said, out of Taiwan. 6'3", 220. So he's got like that pitcher's frame. His numbers last year at the Jersey Shore really jump off the page at you. I think there's a lot to be excited about with this kid. 57 and 2/3 innings in Jersey last year, a 2.8 ERA, a .87 WHIP. His walks per 9 was only 2.97, and his strikeouts per 9 was 12.64. So like you said, hard throwing, love that there. They sent him to Clearwater to start his career, and then he kind of opened some eyes in his relieving role there, was sent up to Jersey and did a little more and just really, really a dominating presence out of the bullpen. I think he's projected to be, that bullpen piece. And if he can start regularly hitting 100 miles an hour, as you said, he's touching on it. If he can build up that arm strength a little bit more and regularly become a 99 mile an hour guy, I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about this kid. 12.6 strikeouts per 9 is filthy stuff. I think Tyler had up on the graphic, was it 67% of the time he throws strikes. So, to me, that's a kid that attacks the strike zone, and he's got some nasty stuff as you went through. Number 23 on this list, according to Baseball America, Prospectus, MLB, all those, he's hovering right around that 22 to 25 range.
Yeah.
So you can kind of slot him in anywhere in there. But I think he's a kid that there's reason to be excited about.
Yeah, stands at 6'3". He definitely has, as some reports have said, a dominating presence out of the bullpen. And scouting grades have him at a 65 for his fastball, a 50 for his slider, 50 for his splitter, his control at a 45, and his overall at a 40.
And that's the 20 to 80 scale that scouts use.
Good clarifying point.
If you're unfamiliar with those rankings. So those are all pretty solid numbers. I mean, anytime you're 55 or above in most categories, that's a pretty good starting point. So, he's definitely, the more and more we do this, the more and more I'm going to pay attention in season. I usually, in the past, would do occasional check-ins with these guys.
Right.
But, I think it's something we touch on in season and start following some of these guys because Wenwei Pan, all of a sudden in the Phillies top 25, he's only been in the system for a year. Those numbers are eye-popping. So he's definitely one I'm going to be checking in on this year. Pretty excited.
What I like about him is going back to when he was 16, a lot of his reports have indicated progress, which is something that also you have to keep an eye on. Okay, at 16, he's throwing 96, but how has he progressed with his strength and conditioning, his control?
16 years old throwing 96.
Yeah, and so to see that he's year after year been making some progress in how he's, controlling and even having that variety in his pitch makes it exciting about what the future holds for Wenwei Pond. So someone to keep an eye on in day 3 as we look at our daily down on the farm deep dive.
And one of the last things from a scout with knowledge of him said he tends to keep the ball around the strike zone, as the 67% strike rate would tell you, though he's more control than command and could get to the big leagues in a hurry if he stays in this relief role. So,
yep, he's got a lot in his wheelhouse, Jamie.
A lot in the bag, as the kids say, right? Isn't that what they say? Is that right? Are you in your bag? You got the bag? You secure the bag?
Yep.
You got tricks in your bag? What's up with the bag?
Does she have to spoon feed you
got
the
a lot
read?
in his wheelhouse, Jamie.
We just did Rhys.
We're about to have our guest on.
We can do it after. It's fine. I did not think that.
We're supposed to do it now.
Are we? Jeez. Guys are running a tight ship here. You know who else runs a tight ship in the card game? Well, that's Wheelhouse Cards. Because if you're a card head, you got to get to Wheelhouse because, man, they run a tight ship at Wheelhouse. They got the best gear, the best PSA card grading available to you. And they have 2 awesome locations in Wayne and Westchester. They're our go-to sports card, gift, and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is Cards and Community, because a love of sports is what has us all hanging out here on YouTube this morning. It unites us all. They carry all your favorite brands like Top Chrome Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as tons of great gear like T-shirt, hats, hoodies, and more from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, Junk Food, Starter, and one of my personal favorites, the throwback gear from Shive Vintage Sports. And if you're looking to have your card grade collection graded, or your card collection graded, Wheelhouse offers the PSA grading submissions. They also host a ton of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every single month. So stop into either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. and use code PHLY. Get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards.
All right. Well, with that, great job, Jamie. Great job, Tyler. Great job, me. Let's just have a moment of positivity. I'm going to update the scoreboard now.
I thought we were doing that after the interview.
It's okay, guys. It's okay.
I thought you were just encouraging my bag talk.
No, I liked it, though. You know what? I liked what you were saying there. But now let's bring in our special guest for today. We've got Ryan Bloomfield from out of Oregon. He's a writer with BaseballHQ. Also one half, I should say, of the Bubba and the Bloom podcast. Welcome, Ryan Bloomfield. Nice to have you here on PHLY Phillies podcast.
Renee, Jamie, thanks for having me on. Love the energy that you all bring to the show. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, so any of that, but we've been doing our Down on the Farm Phillies prospects report, like kind of going through the top 25 prospects. And, we were talking about a kid today that was an international signing period last year in January for the Phillies, Wenwei Pond. I'm not expecting you to know much about him, but he's a pretty exciting prospect. The international signing period, Ryan, is coming up. Do you know much about like the big name prospects out there? I know the Phillies are tied to a Dominican league, I think a 17-year-old kid. Is there a big prize out there this year in the international signing period?
There is one big one. I don't know if your Phillies will be in on him or not. They've been rumored to go to San Diego, so I may be giving you guys some bad news here. But the name that really sticks out for the international signing period this year, if I can look them up, where'd it go?
I threw you on the spot with a tough first question. International signing
Coming
period.
in with a fastball.
Yeah, these hard hitting ones. I don't have his name. We move on to the next one. I'll bring it up.
Okay.
When I see it.
Yeah.
All right, well, while we're on the topic of signings and free agency, let's talk about Shota Imanaga because that news broke. The Cubs finally decided to join the offseason conversation as the only team that hadn't done anything in free agency or any trades. The Cubs and Shota Imanaga have agreed to a deal. I actually just lost the details of it myself. It's in all these tabs that I have. But with that, welcome to the offseason, Chicago. Also, it should be expecting this to be the first of maybe a domino effect of some other moves for the Cubs. What are your thoughts when you finally heard the news that the Cubs have made a move in a signing, but also that Shota Imanaga, ahead of his Thursday 5 p.m. Eastern time deadline, has finally found a team to call home?
All right. First off, before that answer, Renee, I do need to follow up on the name that I was looking for the international signing period. It's Leo Dallas DeVries. He is one of the rumored to be to San Diego and rumored to be about like a $5 million sign. That the hype for him is off the charts. So it goes by Leo, but Leo DeVries was the name I was looking for. So sorry about that. All
right.
Shota Imanaga. Yeah, no, that was a tough first question, but I like it. I like it.
It wasn't my
Welcome to the show.
Hey, you guys had
you'll get, Ryan. I promise.
You guys had my co-host Bubba on the Bubba and the Bloom podcast on about a month or so ago, and I think you took it easy on him. So that's I'll have to
basically. Well, let me add some more there, Ryan. Actually, so the details that have come out so far about the deal with Imanaga and the Cubs, as Jim Bada was saying, is that they agreed to a very, quote, complicated deal that features an average annual value of $15 million, and allegedly there were other teams, especially one other team, I should say. We don't know who that team is as of now, at least I don't, that offered double what was offered to Imanaga, but Imanaga made the decision to become a Chicago Cub.
Is any deal not complex these days? I feel like with the Ohtani deferral thing, like we need to be advanced accountants to be able to figure out some of this stuff with deferrals and CBT and tax and that sort of thing. But no, that makes sense. I mean, Imanaga to me is interesting. We wrote him up at Baseball HQ. We put out the baseball forecaster every year to play player profiles on pretty much everybody. And what we landed on with Imanaga was like, I feel like he could be a solid mid-rotation starter pretty much right away. He's proven his chops overseas. He's got a 2.51 ERA over the past 3 seasons in Japan. And what we saw last year from Imanaga was a pretty big bump in strikeout rate, which is what you really like to see, especially coming over to see some of that swing and miss come over. The big concern with Imanaga, he is extremely home run prone, and especially going to Chicago, as you all know, in the summertime with that wind blowing out, like that could be very much an issue. Imanaga gave up the second most number of home runs in his Japanese league last year. So despite the consistency, the good ratios that Imanaga has posted, and the bump in strikeout rate, which really does look good, I think the only thing holding him back right now is that gopheritis, that home run issue that kind of knocks him more down into that maybe number 3 type starter for me.
Yeah, Ryan, Mike Schmidt here historically once hit 4 home runs in a game at Wrigley Field. So we're very familiar with Wrigley's home run capabilities there. So a question I've been asking all of our guests so far is, I think what the Los Angeles Dodgers are doing is actually really good for baseball, because it puts a heel in the sport in one of the biggest markets in the country. I think more eyeballs are going to get to the Dodgers. I think more people are going to root for their demise and downfall because of the way they're spending. They've taken like the Yankees Death Star of the early aughts and like juiced it up with some HGH. Do you think this super team is good for baseball?
Yeah, I kind of grew up in the 90s and kind of hated the Yankees for every time they signed an A-Rod, a Teixeira, all those guys. And so I do think it is good to have a heel. And the other interesting thing or like a team to collectively root against, I think that's good for the game. I wish other teams would get on board with what the Dodgers are doing. That's a separate conversation, but I do feel like that team that everyone loves to hate it can be a rallying factor. And the other thing I'll add is, like, with baseball, I think the beauty of the game is the postseason is almost a coin flip. Like, you could be the best team. I mean, we saw the Braves the Dodgers the last few years. Braves were probably, I know you guys don't like to hear that since you knocked them out, but the Braves were probably,
but we don't fear them in the postseason. Yeah.
You guys knocked out the Braves, who were probably the best team in baseball last year. it's I think that's the beauty of the sport, is the variance. And once you get to the playoffs, you go on a run, as you all know. It is far from a shoo-in that the Dodgers are World Series champs, that everyone is proclaiming them to be, despite all of the impressive moves that they've made thus far.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that we've talked about. Of course, there's other factors. The playoffs in general are a whole different beast. Injuries come into play. It's such a long season. Obviously, we're not wishing that on anybody, but we know it's part of the game, and that's also something that drastically can change things up. But I know you mentioned the Yankees as someone that, much like most of us, disliked the Yankees growing up in the '90s, and the Yankees have been tied to a few different names. Josh Hader being one of them. Now, recent reports have indicated Josh Hader's kind of been on a delay where teams are prioritizing starting pitching in Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell. Of course, Shota Imanaga was one of those names as well, but he's now off the board. And because of that, Josh Hader's kind of been waiting to see where those starters are going to sign before finding a deal of his own. The Yankees and Rangers have been two teams connected to Josh Hader, but I know various reports have said we're probably not going to see Josh Hader come off the board until Snell or Montgomery is gone. What are your thoughts on Hader as a reliever, the best relief pitcher on the market, but still waiting, and where you think he's going to possibly end up?
I mean, if I had to guess, it's going to be the Dodgers, right? They just sign everybody, but Hader can take his time. I mean, with relievers, like, it's not that much of a ramp up time for new teams and getting used to. I mean, relievers, you just kind of, you're in for an inning, you go all gas, and that's your thing. Hader himself, like, it's interesting. 5.22 ERA. If we had this conversation this time last year, Josh Hader's coming off a 5.22 ERA, 128 WHIP, where he just basically collapsed with San Diego after that trade from Milwaukee. Fast forward to now, 128 ERA with San Diego last year. I think Hader's true talent level is somewhere in between, maybe like a mid-threes ERA guy, which is good, which is serviceable, and he's had the track record of being able to hold down the role for some time. I don't think he is a top-tier closer anymore. I think whoever pays for Josh Hader, every free agent is technically an overpay in my opinion, but I think whoever's going to pay for Josh Hader, a few years on that contract where he's 30 now, I think you're getting a good closer, but I don't think this is a game changer or anyone who is going to be elite this year.
So Ryan, one of the things we talked about today was DraftKings released the NL MVP odds yesterday, and wow, I think all the best players in baseball, like almost all, are in the NL now. If I was giving you $100 of funny money to place on a guy to take home the NL MVP this year, I mean, you're talking about multiple MVP winners. You have Acuna, Betts, Ohtani, Harper's in there, Freeman's in there. I mean, Matt Olson, Corbin Carroll, Manny Machado, Trey Turner, and Fernando Tatis. Where is Ryan's $100 season-long NL MVP bet going?
Ooh.
I mean, it's almost impossible to not go with Ronald Acuna based on what we saw last year, but history has shown that even the best players, like that follow-up season is incredibly hard to reproduce. So Acuna seems like the obvious, but he also has the best odds. So if I'm going down this list a little bit, I'm going to go Fernando Tatis. I think Fernando Tatis is now one more year removed from that suspension, that shoulder injury that we saw. I know San Diego, with them trading Soto to New York, I don't know if they're going to be in the hunt, but I feel like in today you just need to make the playoffs, and that kind of qualifies you, right or wrong, to be going with the NL MVP. And I think Fernando Tatis is still one of the most talented players in the game. And if San Diego makes a run, it is because of Fernando Tatis, and he is sixth down the board on NL MVP.
Fourth. So he's behind Ohtani, and then Harper and Freeman are sandwiching them there. So yeah, that's a good one. Plus 1,000.
I like that. Well, we've talked a lot about the big name players, big name teams. Our producer Tyler has a great question for you, actually. Tyler, I'm going to actually just let you ask it versus me taking your question.
Yeah, so last year we kind of got a little bit of a shock with Arizona making the run that they did, and maybe you call them a little bit of a sleeper, with hindsight in mind. I have one team in particular that I think is like the sleeper of 2024. I'm curious, do you have any teams heading into this season that you think could be that team that we look back and go, wow, that was a really good team and they made a run and we weren't expecting that in January of 24?
I'll go two. I think your more obvious sleeper is Minnesota. I really like the Twins. I know they made the playoffs last year and started to make a run. I think with that rotation, what that organization does philosophically with their starting pitchers is fantastic. So I think Minnesota, if they can just stay healthy on the hitting side, is one that sticks out. And if I'm digging really deep, Detroit Tigers. Like, don't sleep on the Tigers next year. They have a rotation. Tariq Skubal looks like an ace. The lineup wasn't that bad, and really nobody expects anything from the Detroit Tigers. I don't really think the division's that tough either. So they can at least make some noise, I think, in the Central and somewhere where nobody expects them to do so.
Yeah.
Ryan, last one for you. Way too early World Series prediction. Who you got squaring off next year? Do the Dodgers pull it off and get there?
Hey, this is easier than the international signing question that we led off with. I'm gonna go Baltimore in the AL. Love what they did last year. Young team. I think they only build from there. And then, unfortunately, I will say the Dodgers will face.
Okay.
They are good.
Sorry to be a little obvious. I can't go too far off script. We'll go off script with Baltimore, and we'll keep it tight with LA.
Fair enough.
Yes. Well, Ryan, of course, never too early to give those predictions. We talked about it here. Like, this is the time. It's January. It's a new calendar year. We're getting closer to opening day. Now's the time to just throw out your predictions and see what sticks to the wall like pasta. So, Ryan, we appreciate you for taking time out of your Wednesday to join us here on the show and all the great work you're doing to cover the league. It's been a pleasure having you to jump in and weigh in on your thoughts on players, teams, predictions, and much more. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you, Ryan.
Thank you. All right, guys, make sure you check out Ryan's work that he's doing as a writer with BaseballHQ, as well as his work with the Bubba and the Bloom podcast. Just doing a fantastic job covering the league.
I guarantee you he hung up and goes, I can't believe the first question I got was about international signing period.
Good job, Jamie. Great first impression.
I did not mean to intentionally.
What a bunch of jerks.
Throw him the hardest question ever.
That's a really tough question.
Yeah, I don't know. I just was like stream of consciousness on the international signing thing because of Wenwei Pan, and then I just went with it, and I went, that was a really hard question, you dumbass.
Yeah, usually you open up with a nice, I like yesterday with Nick, I was like, I like your sweatshirt. Can we see your sweatshirt? You're like, who's the name on international signings that we should keep an eye on for free agency? Wow. Jamie Lynch, folks. Jamie Lynch.
My bad.
It's all right, Jamie. It's all right. All right. Well, as we talked about, Shota Imanaga is off the board officially. The details have been coming out slowly around exactly how the Cubs came to an agreement with Imanaga, and we will officially get the breakdown of what his contract is and everything, of course. But with that makes us now wonder what's next for the Cubs, specifically Rhys Hoskins. We're keeping an eye on Rhys, and we will be closely watching to see. I imagine it won't be too long. They've already been so closely connected to Rhys Hoskins as a favorite, and feels like everybody unanimously is saying that that's the spot that Rhys is going to go. So I think since it's Wednesday, now they're going to focus on the fine print of Imanaga's deal, and then I'm hoping we see a Rhys Hoskins deal within the next week.
Yeah, it seems like they're interested in anybody. We talked about yesterday, Chapman, Rhys, Bellinger.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense that's for a team with a big market spending capability to not make a move for so long. I can't imagine this is the only move they were making. We'll see if Bellinger returns. He seems to be, I guess, the top prize on the board remaining amongst free agents. Does he return to Wrigley? Because as Ryan just said, Wrigley is in the height of summer a hitter's park. So maybe he goes back there. We'll see. But yeah, I think Rhys Hoskins. I put out a tweet yesterday from the show account. I said Rhys and the Cubs just continue playing footsie under the table. Yeah. But they haven't smooched yet, and it feels like they're just inevitably going to smooch.
That was again one of those tweets where if you're ever wondering who's putting out which tweets, because I heard you saying that
footsie
clearly.
Under the table.
Yeah, like I would.
Do kids still do footsie?
I don't know. I'm not a kid. No.
No, you're not a kid.
don't know what's happening out there
well, you were out in the streets with your bonnet, chasing down, pillows.
I was back in these streets last night, guys. I was in these Philly streets last night.
It was always a weird thing.
It is a weird. It's odd.
Rex
So
Rhymes
some other news. Oh Lord have mercy. Other news that we can run through before we move along. The Mets and the Marlins have been tied to Jesus Luzardo. There's reports that have come out that they've had contact regarding Jesus Luzardo. So we'll be, of course, keeping an eye on that. Talks had revolved around third baseman Brett Beatty. I never know how to say his last name either.
Right? Or is it Beatty?
Beatty. It's Beatty.
Beatty.
It's Beatty. Yeah. Batty doesn't make sense. Unless you're a baddie.
Well, hopefully the Mets don't get involved with Luzardo because, Senga's really good and coming off his, rookie year in Major League Baseball. But there's a possibility Luzardo just becomes their number 2. I mean, like, the Mets rotation right now is just like a bunch of, like, it's kind of similar to the Cardinals. I think Tyler and I were talking about this the other day. It's just like a bunch of 3s and 4s. It's like a whole staff. Senga's good. Now, he's different from the rest of the 4, but the other 4 are all just kind of like...
There's the only thing that separates those 2 is Kodai Senga.
Yeah.
And, like, the fact that the Mets starting rotation doesn't qualify for AARP.
Yeah.
And they're going to go watch Jeopardy and go to bed.
Quintana and you got Tyler
that
McGill
also makes sense for what recent reports have indicated that the Mets might just be waiting.
Luzardo.
They might be waiting this year, not doing much, and then next year looking to bring in a starting pitcher that's going to be hitting free agency. If Zach Wheeler's in free agency, they've already been talking Zach Wheeler.
Even more important of a reason to get that extension done.
Yeah,
babe.
The Mets are right now planning for the future. I don't like it one bit.
If the Phillies just, let's say, extend Zach Wheeler, they obviously extended Aaron Nola, and they add like one non-sexy bullpen piece. What's the average fan's feeling going into next year? Like, great, not really excited, just kind of like we're really running this back. Is that going to be the opening day vibes?
I don't know, but you do have to lock in Wheeler. But
I mean, if you lock in Wheeler and Nola, as you've seen from these pitching markets, like that's a pretty good situation to be in. They do have one of the better rotations in baseball.
I think for next year, a lot depends on this year. It's hard to even say, but I don't.
No, I'm just talking about like opening day this year. Is that? Is that just going to be the feeling of like, oh, we're running it back?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of like everybody else around the league has been making some changes, but at least they're starting pitchers and adding bullpen arms and adding guys, and the Phillies right now haven't. We're not as bad as the Cubs, but are we? I mean, obviously Aaron Nola, that was huge, but we haven't really done much
Nola
else.
and Wheeler are big moves if you're able to get it done, but it's even more of a reason to get Wheeler done. Hopefully they're starting negotiations because, 33 days away? Or you changed the scoreboard
32.
again. 32 days away. Those talks can happen in spring training. They failed with Nola last year in spring training talks. Hopefully they don't fail with Wheeler here because
Well, again, according to Mark Feisan, and some different reports are going out that the Mets allegedly might be kind of waiting for next year for the starting pitching market, which in the offseason will include possibly Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns, Walker Buehler, Max Fried, some others that are set to become available then. So keeping an eye on that because we're hoping that we don't see Wheels tied to the Mets or anybody else outside of the Phillies.
I don't even want to see Luzardo tied to the Mets because he's good.
No, I know. Also, the Marlins did have a new hire that they brought in. I liked this hire. Yay, diversity. Bringing in Rachel Balkovec, who is going to become the director of player development. She's joining the Marlins. They tweeted that out. So that was exciting news to hear. I like when we see women getting these opportunities in sports to be coaches as well. And so she's going to be working in a role that they have.
Yeah, it's a big role.
I mean,
director of player development is a big one.
Huge.
Yeah. So good for the Marlins going outside the box there. She's, was hired by the Yankees a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did Gabe Kapler have a role in one of her first hires in the league? I think she might have worked with the Giants under Gabe, like his first year, and then gone to the Yankees. Whatever it is, it's good to see. Yeah, some diversity.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, when she was named the manager of the minor league team, the Tampa Tarpons, she became the first woman to work full-time as a manager of a major league affiliated team. She's breaking some glass ceilings, so congrats to Rachel on that opportunity now
and
to step into a new role.
Love her too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, and then some other things before we get into our positive vibes and thoughts and drinking to wrap up the show. Drinking, we're talking alcohol, guys. We had already been talking about, of course, all these top 10 lists that are coming out. One that we talked about was MLB Nerds' top list of pitchers. Well, now MLB Network's come out with their top list of starting pitchers. The top 10 right now that they've got: Garrett Cole, Corbin Burnes at number 2, Zach Gallen, Justin Verlander, Blake Snell, Zach Wheeler at number 6,
Zach Gallen.
Spencer Strider at number 7, Logan Webb, Max Fried, Sonny Gray at number 10. And so
how the hell
that is what was voted by fans, apparently.
That's the fan one. Okay.
That's the fan list for top... Wait, what?
No. You're reading
I'm
MLB
reading the wrong
Network's
one.
one.
Oh, my
the other
gosh.
one is the fan one.
Oh, shucks. Let me
How
read.
the hell do you put Zach Gallen and Justin Verlander ahead?
Yeah, this is MLB Network's top 10.
Yeah, like Blake Snell, okay, you can make the case because he's a two-time Cy Young winner. If you want to put him ahead of Zach Wheeler. But, like, for Spencer Strider to be 7th on this list behind – and Corbin Burnes is nasty. I don't know if he's the second best pitcher in baseball, but to have Zach Gallen number 3?
Yeah.
What? I just don't see how you can have Wheeler, Strider behind Gallen. Like that's, and even Verlander at this point. I know he got better as the year went on last year, but like body of work, resume,
it's the World Series run.
But like
to me, it's the World Series run.
Anybody like to tell me where George Kirby is?
He's number 10 on the fan list. Or number 9 on the fan list.
Yeah, Sonny Gray's
I don't
actually,
know why MLB Network did this as their top 10.
This is a really weird top 10 list.
Yeah, very strange.
And then the top 10 fan list. So this is the one that I was getting confused. This is the list that was voted on by fans for the best starting pitchers. And MLB Network also revealed this. So this is according to fan voting.
I think
so
the fan voting is better than the MLB
Actually, I do
Network.
too. So the fan voting is in this order: Cole, Strider, Snell, Gallen, Wheeler, Verlander, Webb, Fried, Kirby, Burnes. So George Kirby did make this list at number 9.
Why is Zach Gallen that much higher than Wheeler? Am I missing something? I know he's a really good pitcher. I'm not trying to discredit Zach Gallen, but
I don't know.
I think Zach Wheeler's getting shortchanged on these lists a little bit.
I do too, and I'm a little bit surprised. And not just saying that because he's a Phillies pitcher.
I mean, Zach Gallen? Like, if you wanted to make the case Spencer Strider, sure. If you even want to say Verlander, okay. Like, Snell, okay. Like, I can accept those as debatable points. But Zach Gallen, I just don't get. Like, I think he's a step behind Zach Wheeler. And that's not to say he's not a top 10 pitcher, but I think he's more in that 7 to 10 range than he is top 3 or 4.
Guys, I think we really need to get our own lists out.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
We're sitting here and we're talking about these other lists, and we go, well, it should be this guy and that guy and this guy, and at this point, like, we've probably already put together our list.
Yeah,
like,
probably
just
have.
Via like
Maybe
4
we'll do
different
that
shows.
next week.
We probably should just get our own out there at this point.
Am I missing something with
the
Gallen?
idea.
Do you see this?
I think that's where we need to do a nice deep dive into maybe what we missed. Maybe because we're not watching as closely that there's something that we didn't notice.
I had him on my fantasy team. I followed him pretty closely. Tyler, like, am I missing something?
For what, Gallen?
Yeah.
I think Gallen's probably a top 7 or 8 pitcher in the league.
Yeah, I think he's around that 7-8 range.
2, 3, 4.
I don't know if
ahead of Strider and Wheeler.
Well,
I don't see that.
I will say this. If you gave me an option to take Zach Gallen or Spencer Strider, I would really, really have to think about it.
Oh.
Because I understand Strider's got the high strikeout rate.
That's easy for me.
I get it. Strider's a 3.6, 3.7 ERA guy a lot of times. Like, I think that the optics of Strider are better than the actual numbers of Strider. And that's not to disrespect the guy. He's a top 10 pitcher in baseball to me.
Yeah, we're both talking about top 10 guys.
But I think that I would have to strong he won 20 games last year and he struck out 280, but he also posted almost a 3.9.
Yeah, I love the Blake
Zach
Snell
Gallen
hate
at
in the
a
chat.
3. Oh yeah, bless you.
The chat
Zach
hates
Gallen
Blake
with a
Snell.
3.47 ERA last year. I mean, we'll have to take a close look and do our own list for sure. Because Zach Gallen is a guy that maybe we're missing something on. I don't know.
No, I mean, we're saying he's top 10. I don't think we're missing.
But for him to be above Zach Wheeler, we'll have to come up with our own list.
Maybe the postseason numbers are skewing too much in my brain with
I think
Wheeler.
the postseason.
But I still don't see him as number 3 or number 4 in the league.
Well, we will keep talking about it and figure out our own list. We're going to have to come up, and we will be breaking down by positions our own rankings on the show. And I think this is our sign to start it next week, to get this going, because I agree with you guys in the chat. And like you're saying, Jamie, like, what are we missing here? So time for our own PHLY Phillies rankings to come out. Stay tuned on that.
Jim Cunningham is with you, Tyler. He said he'd take Gallen over
and remember,
Strider.
like I want to make this very clear. Like I'm debating. I'm having this, like, it's an internal monologue between me and me.
You're going to be debating this on your ride
two people
home
talking
and
would
in
be
the
a dialogue
shower later. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's not. I'm not just going to immediately make a decision. Like, Strider's stuff is filthy, and you don't strike out 280 batters by accident.
Right.
But the ERA is much higher than I think a lot of people believe, just because.
But everybody's ERA was higher last year. You know, like even Gallen's like a 3.4, 3.5 guy. Nola became north of 4.
Correct.
You know, like I think everybody had an adjustment
That's a good
period
point.
last year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see. All right, time to get into our wrap up and our positivity of the day. We've got Guess That Stands. We've got our daily positivity.
I'm in on this game. It's gonna be tough.
I have to sneeze. All right,
Let it rip. Look at the lights.
No, kiwi.
Look, kiwi.
It stops you from sneezing.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Next time you have to sneeze, say kiwi.
I like sneezing.
I guess, because it clears things out.
Yeah, it's a good release.
I don't know. I feel like, you know what's the worst is when you sneeze when you're driving. My life flashes before my eyes every single time. I'm like, achoo!
I used to get kicked because I really let a sneeze
Terrible.
go. And when I blow my nose and I sneeze, I like to, like lean into it and really try and clear it. And when I was in grade school, I got kicked out of a class once for blowing my nose too loud. And the teacher was like, you have to go see the discipline, because I was a little bit of a class clown. So my background didn't help my nose blowing, and they thought I was trying to class clown it up. And I was like, no, I really just like to blow my nose like really loud.
Also, who blows their nose loudly in the classroom? Like
somebody with a runny nose?
Yeah, but like during class, you're all loud blowing.
I don't know. I don't think I was like doing it intentionally over them. I think I was just blowing my nose.
Huh.
And it's just perceived to be a loud
I
nose
feel
blowing.
like the thing to do is to like maybe just quietly blow.
I was in like 5th grade. I wasn't thinking about like social
You were
norms.
class clown in elementary school?
Yeah, a little bit.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some positivity.
It's you. All right.
It's me.
Renee's
I'm
daily
gonna go
positive
with
thought. I gotta
Nick
write this down.
Castellanos will have a consistent year of better splits, no drop off. Listen, when Nick Castellanos came in for that 5-year deal that he inked, we had high expectations for him of just where he would help with the lineup in itself. And so I feel like this is the year we're going to get a Nick Castellanos. We saw kind of an up and down between the All-Star break and postseason. You know, there was a lot that happened in between there.
The highs were high and
it was
the lows
a lot of
were
highs and lows, a lot of roller coaster. It was roller coaster Nick. So I would love to see Nick Castellanos just be more steady. I'm not expecting a drastic increase in his splits and numbers, but I think just more consistency from Nick would be great, because to have, back-to-back multi-homer games in the postseason, and then you go like 7 straight games where you can't even get a hit, we need to find a middle ground here. So my expectation and hope for Nick Castellanos is across the board from opening day through the final game of the season, we get a steady Nick.
I hope so.
That's all we need. I think if he's more consistent, we need better at bats. And we've talked about it for the Phillies time and time again. That's a need. That's an area that can be improved upon. I think Nick is one of those guys that can help. Raise the middle.
Just coming off a nice vacation in Jackson Hole with the Turners and the Harpers.
Yeah, exactly. I liked that. That was cool to see.
Good little team
that was
bonding.
fun. I loved that. So maybe now,
except if you're like JT or somebody you thought was like in with them. Do you see that from the outside and go like, oh, I guess
I was surprised. I mean,
I'm not in that cool guy clique.
Bryson, they just had a baby, so maybe they decided not to take that trip.
Oh, that was a pain in the ass with a newborn.
Yeah, and their she was born in like November, so like still very young. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's why.
But like
they weren't
JT's
there.
like,
but like
their age
I would
group
think
and
JT
like veteran,
would be there.
Like, do you think he's like?
That's what I was thinking. Who else is missing?
I
that?
hope the invite went out to a couple of people. Don't want any mean
Could
girl clicks to start in that locker
they're getting a
room.
little clicky. But that is my hope. Nick Castellanos is going to have a steady, consistent year, not a drastic step forward, but just we don't need the drop off of you going game after game without hits and then game after game where you're hitting back-to-back homers or something like that. Just give us solid at-bats, be great in the batting order. and be good in the outfield. That's it.
Spiral Out cracks me up with his comment. He says, I am positive that Stubbs will bat under 200, but be a great clubhouse guy. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Still not over his comments.
Before we get into Guess That Stand, something that was interesting, I know that you found, Jamie, was the list that came out for which Major League Baseball fans drink the most. I don't know who they polled for this.
So it's,
but with
it's the average.
The Phillies are very low.
Average money spent on alcoholic beverages during games. Now, the most common theory amongst Phillies fans is
they've already been drinking.
We're a higher intellect than most fan bases.
Yeah.
So we really get after it in the Jetro and K-Lots.
Yeah, like we're not.
Before we go in, because we're not dumb enough to spend all of our money.
First of all, it's like $20 to buy a drink
Addie
at Citizens Bank Park.
My wife, a cocktail during the playoffs, and I think it was with the commemorative cup, like $28 or something.
Right. You're spending $20 to $30 for one.
What's that beer bat
one.
cost? I think the beer bat's like 2.5 beers. I haven't bought one, but I would imagine that price tag is probably.
So that's the other thing on this list. The average spend on alcohol, the White Sox in first, it's $46 is the average spend on alcohol. I'm not going to a game spending upwards
I don't
of
blame White
$40
Sox fans
on
for
alcohol.
getting bombed at the game. That team's a disaster, and their ownership group's disgusting.
Somebody on our I put out the tweet last night, and somebody tagged a White Sox fan in it and said, does this check out for you? And the guy wrote back like, oh, hell yeah, that definitely checks out. So the White Sox fans get after it.
It makes sense to me. And then like you said on the reverse, with the Phillies at dead last, the average is $23. Okay, it costs $20 to $28 for the cheaper stuff. That's before you're getting like.
I still kind of doubt
that.
this.
I don't.
Unless
it's
a more family-friendly park than a lot of others. I don't know. I still think Phillies fans
here's what I thought.
There's no way that we're last.
Here's what I thought when I looked at this. I think what we're not taking into consideration is tailgating, because if you were to somehow be able to calculate how much, I could go spend. I mean, I don't drink beer, but I'll go buy, my Trulies or whatever for $20 and drink that in the parking lot, and then go in the game and get just one drink. Or the other part of it is, how many of us are actually just smuggling drinks in, and you're not even just paying for drinks?
Oh yeah,
yeah. You just bring
that beer belly. Like
you bring a drink, you bring your drinks in, you bring in like whether it's a can, a flask, whatever. I know we talked about like smuggling in food and spaghetti and stuff. Like it might just be that the Phillies fans are more creative. We don't.
Citizens Bank Park. What's your spaghetti policy?
That's my guess. I mean. I don't. If it's like which fans drink the most in general, the Phillies are definitely not the lowest.
There's no way the Phillies are last.
There's no way. There's no way. But even still being last with all of that is very odd. So, polls these days. All right. Well, with that, as we get ready to wrap up, our final thing on the show sheet, guys, because we actually have gotten to every single thing except
merch. We got new merch. Before we get to the Guess That Stance. Yes, we had some new merch released yesterday.
I wrote that down.
Awesome. So head to allphly.com. If you're a diehard, you get discounts on merchandise. Actually, my favorite item that came out yesterday, second place was the Eagles hoodie. First place was the Matvey Michkov hoodie, the Mad Russian. So some new stuff on the locker room on the website. So make sure you're checking that out, because there's some really good stuff on there. And that's only going to get bigger and grow and grow and grow. So we'll get some more and more cool stuff. So head to allphly.com and check out the locker room for the new gear release.
Yes, it's awesome to see that we are continuing to add more, and you guys have chances to buy some great merch. And it definitely also for us is connected to a lot of what makes Philly sports great, So go check that out, the PHLY locker, to see what we've been releasing recently with our latest merch. All right. That being said, let's play Guess That Stands. Scoreboard update.
And make sure you're playing along. We'll be posting it on our Twitter account daily at PHLY_Phillies.
Correct.
The score is 2-1. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Jamie just enjoys it. Jamie, all of a sudden, I like this game now. All of a sudden,
I like this better than Guess That Ballpark.
I'm sure you do.
Well, the Guess That Ballpark was hard. This is going to be hard too. I think this is going to be harder than I expected. The first two were kind of like two of the most famous Phillies like ever in Ryan Howard and J. Roll. So this is going to get tougher.
That's the thing. So we're doing one every single day. Guess that
42
stands.
of
There's
them.
42. We've already done 2, so we've got 40 left. Dating back to 2006, only Philadelphia Phillies. And as Jamie mentioned, we've already did Ryan Howard and J. Ross. So it's only going to get tougher, which means I'm not going to get points and I'm going to lose. But it's fine. Everything's fine. All right, Tyler. Who we got?
Oh, I got it. I'll slack it to you, Tyler.
I think I actually have it too.
Do you?
Maybe I'm a little bit better at this than I thought.
Well, again.
I don't know. It depends on if I'm actually correct.
I'm just going to put it in Phillies beat, Tyler, because I can't find your DMs. I can't slide in those DMs.
Okay.
I think this is one.
All right, Jamie's locked in.
This is easier than yesterday's, I think. Almost as easy as day one.
I would say that this is the second. The second in order, it's 2. Yeah,
because yesterday Jimmy, switch hitter.
Sure. Yeah, this one's easy.
I don't really like when you guys do this because now if I get you guys have this habit of like, oh, this is so easy.
Jason Michaels, Von Hayes.
And then when you do this, and if I get it wrong, I feel stupid because you guys are like, oh my God, this is the easiest thing ever. Like anybody can get this. Even a blind person can get this. And then I don't get this.
Person can get this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But y'all will say some stuff like that, and then I will get it wrong, and now I look stupid. Or
all right, guys, both of your answers are locked in. This one.
Wait.
What do you mean? You already submitted.
You sent it to me. We don't get to wait.
Have you heard a correct answer?
I'm not answering these questions anymore, I don't think. I think that this is stalling and cheating at the same time.
We're already 12 minutes over, and
I'm not answering these questions anymore.
Have you heard a correct answer?
You are the
I've heard answers.
Man.
No. Woo!
Yeah, you better have gotten that.
Oh, that was tough.
You are
It's tough because I feel like the
man.
easier you guys claim it is, the more pressure. If you were like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult, then if I get it wrong,
Ricky Jordan. I thought Ricky Jordan was going to be the best.
Either you know who it is or you don't. Thank you, Martian.
Yeah.
Golly.
That do be how answering questions works. You know it or you don't.
Oh, before we go, don't you know?
Brandon Duckworth.
Do you know what that's from?
Fargo?
Ah, dang it. I just knew Jamie would know what show that was from. Did you watch it, Tyler? Don't you know?
No.
Do you know what show that's from?
No.
You don't know Bobby's World? Does anybody know Bobby's World?
Yeah,
but
no,
me?
I know Bobby's World.
Oh, good. At least you know it. Yesterday I was saying it, and
Where did this come from?
yesterday in the show, on the Union show, I said it.
That was the most obscure hard right turn into Bobby's World. Where did that even come from? Did you just have "Don't you know" come into your mind and you decided to talk Bobby's World?
Jamie, you like grapes? Like, are we just asking questions now?
What? Where the hell are you?
Tyler, if you remember yesterday, I said, I'm going to ask Jamie.
I know what you're talking about. I
literally
knew
said
you were going
that
to
in
do it on the show.
So yesterday on the Union show, I randomly was like saying something. I was like, don't you know? And JP and Tyler didn't know what I was referring to. And I was like, you've never seen Bobby's World? So I was like, I'm going to ask Jamie tomorrow on the show. I bet he knows it. And then I remember.
Maybe with a little more context, I could have gotten that. But yes, I remember Bobby's mother.
Yes! Woo! Okay. Don't you know? Well, it's been another fun day here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Don't you know? And
it was a good show.
We got through everything on our show sheet. We both got our things correct. Yay!
All right, now the big three. I would say Harper's the remaining big fourth.
It's 3-2.
It's going to be a lot tougher. Those three are off the board now.
I know. I'm a little nervous, actually.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm glad I'm getting some of these layups. You start off easy.
Yeah.
You get
Pad those stats.
Yeah, I'm padding my stats.
Even Embiid said it the other night, when he got his last 30-10 game. He said, sometimes it's good to just go out there and stat.
That's what I'm doing. I'm padding the stats. I'm getting, I'm getting putbacks. I'm getting layups. I'm getting free throws. So yes, we're starting out light. I'm a cushion catcher, guys. That is correct. Don't you know? So thank you so much for tuning in. It's been fun. We got through our show sheet today, so small victory there. And we only went 12 minutes over, 13 now and counting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so make sure you're liking, subscribing, checking out our new merch that's dropped on PHLY Locker to get the latest hoodies, shirts, and things that we have there. And we'll see you back here. We've got another guest joining us tomorrow on Thursday, Herb Lawrence from out of Chicago. He's going to be joining us. us
ask them
tomorrow.
about their alcohol problems in White Sox.
I know. It's perfect timing to have someone on to talk White Sox
Bunch of
when
drunkards out
allegedly
there.
the White Sox are just alcohol. Their fans are alcoholics. So what better person to have on than Herb Lawrence to talk about it from our sister, brother, cousin station, depending on how you want to refer to it, CHGO. So for Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington, have a great rest of your Wednesday. Secure those cushions, and we will see you guys back here for more on Thursday.
We all silly like the mayor.